Hey guys, it's Ahmed from colognes.com, and now we all know about Spice Bomb Extreme. It's one of the most famous winter colognes to exist. It's a staple. It's vanilla, masculine, woody, tobacco. Sorry, not woody, but very spicy scent. And it's a very popular scent, but it is sort of quite a bit expensive as well. And so a lot of people have wondered, what are cheaper alternatives to the Spice Bomb Extreme? What are the cheaper, more affordable dupes and clones, but also what are fragrances that are alternatives to it. So even fragrances that are at a similar price point, maybe even a bit more extreme. But if you like this Spice Bomb Extreme, you're probably going to like them as well. So in this video, we're going to cover both. We're going to cover cheaper, affordable clones and dupes of the Spice Bomb Extreme, but also fragrances that are similar to it, but might be a bit more expensive, but have just as much quality or even more quality than the Spice Bomb Extreme. So first up, we have Fragrance World Mark and Victor Eau de Spice. Now this is one of those clones that has absolutely zero originality to them whatsoever. It's basically a direct copy of the fragrance, and in this case, Spice Bomb Extreme. So I haven't tried this personally, but I've read a lot of reviews and I know people who've tried it, and it all seems to be a similar thing. So firstly, it is pretty similar. It's about 90 to 95% as close to the Spice Bomb Extreme as it can be. The difference is that the warmer spice, so the peppery masculine spice that you find in the Spice Bomb Extreme, with this one it's more cinnamon, so it's a sweeter spice. It gives it a slightly less masculine tone, but what everybody seems to say, and the people who I've asked have said, is that the dry down, once it sets in your skin after a couple of hours, it's practically identical. The performance is very good as well. Often quote it is about 8 to 10 hours, which is basically the same as the Spice Bomb Extreme. But the price is what shocked me the most, and this is why I sort of regret not buying it. This is the only one that I haven't bought personally, but it's also the cheapest. It's about £20 in the UK. I'm guessing about $30 in the US. So the price point is very good. I would see why people would buy this. So if you're just looking for a direct copy, the most similar fragrance to the Spice Bomb Extreme that exists, then this Fragrance World copy does a very good job. Next up, we have Jubilee fragrances. Now, I've tried a lot of Jubilee fragrances in the past. The VR09 is the one that imitates the Spice Bomb Extreme. So if you don't know about Jubilee fragrances, they're pretty similar to the Essence Vault, to Perfume Parlor, to companies like this, which basically exist, and their business model is taking popular scents and creating cheaper alternatives of them. So with this one, of all of them that I've tried, the Jubilee does the best job of imitating the Spice Bomb Extreme. The performance is a negative. When I tried this, it only lasted on my skin for about 4 to 5 hours, compared to when I actually tried the Spice Bomb Extreme. That's at least 9 hours of longevity right there. This one's about 4 to 5 hours. Other than that, the notes were there, the tobacco, the pepper, the vanilla was there. What it does have, however, which a lot of these fragrance copycat houses do tend to have, is that synthetic undertone. Now, a synthetic undertone isn't a bad thing, it's not an awful thing, if you are into it. Personally, I just don't like it. I don't like fragrances, for me, smelling like chemicals, even though that's all they are. But if you don't care about it, I think the Jubilee has a great alternative then to the Spice Bomb Extreme. Next up, we have Aswaaf Latafa. Now, Latafa is a fragrance house I've spoken about a lot. They are, for me, the best Arabian fragrance houses when it comes to clones. They have the Latafa, they have the Khamra. We've discussed a lot of their clones on this channel in the past. And this one is one that imitates the Spice Bomb Extreme a lot. Now, what I like about Latafa is that they don't just directly copy the fragrance itself, unlike the other two fragrances that we've mentioned already. This adds its own spin to it. So for this one, the vanilla is there, the spice is there, it's as warm a scent. Where it does differ is the tobacco. Now, tobacco for me is what makes the Spice Bomb Extreme different to the other popular winter fragrances that exist already. Now, there aren't a lot of popular scents out there that do tobacco just as well and as subtly as the Spice Bomb Extreme. And they've taken that tobacco out. So that masculine bitter edge that the Spice Bomb Extreme had, which for me was my favorite note of the fragrance, it's just completely taken out. The performance is also very good, as you would expect with Latafa. Their performance always knocks it out of the park. and the price point is about 30 to 40 pounds in the US, so it's a lot cheaper than the Spice Bomb Extreme. Not as cheap as the other two fragrances, but the quality is there, and for the price it has immense quality. Now we're going to be looking at fragrances that aren't direct copies of the Spice Bomb Extreme. So these aren't going to be cheaper. These are going to be the same price as the Spice Bomb Extreme, if not a little bit more expensive. But these are basically alternatives. So if you like the Spice Bomb Extreme, this follows a similar DNA, but they add their own spin on it. And I think they all appeal to a slightly different market. So first up, we're going to be looking at a Bvlgari cologne, and we're going to be looking at the very popular Man in Black. Now, where Spice Bomb Extreme is a fragrance for younger guys, typically for guys in college, guys in their 20s, up to their 30s, Man in Black is for maturer men. So this is literally what it says, Man in Black. It's for that man going to work in his suit. It's for the gentleman. And so it takes that sweetness out of it. It has a more woody, leathery note. And I think with most gentleman scents, wood and leather is usually most prominent. Man in Black has that a lot, so it's a very, very high quality. I would say it's even more high quality than the Spice Bomb Extreme, but with that comes a higher price point. This is about 120 to 130 pounds in the UK. I'm guessing about $150 ballpark in the US, so it is at a higher price point, but I promise you, you are paying for quality. It isn't a blind buy because of the price point, but if you just have $150 to throw at a fragrance, Man in Black, I think, is a very, very good choice. So next up, we're going to be looking at a Cremo fragrance, and this is Spice and Black Vanilla. Now, this is most definitely a winter fragrance, and it just sounds like the notes of the Spice Bomb Extreme, you know, spice, black, vanilla. It's very peppery. Obviously, it's very vanilla-y, as you can guess from the title. Where it does differ is that it does have less tobacco, similar to the Latafa fragrance that we discussed earlier. It does have less of that tobacco scent to it, which does make this a slightly more unisex fragrance. I still believe it's very masculine, or sorry, it's leaning towards men. It's not very masculine, but it is a lot more unisex than the Spice Bomb Extreme. What is a negative about this, however, is actually comes in the form of distribution. So it's very, very tough to get your hands on this fragrance. I don't own it, but I've tried it quite a few times. I think in the US, if you're in the US, it's a lot easier to buy than here in the UK. But it is a high quality scent. This one is actually just about cheaper, slightly just cheaper than the Spice Bomb Extreme. But I think the quality is up there with the Victor and Rolf fragrance. So those are all of our alternatives for the Victor Rolf Spice Bomb Extreme. I hope you guys enjoy that video, and if you have any other suggestions, guys, please comment below. Thanks a lot.